guys and a handful of girls that watch, back on the T5 today. Before we get on with the bodywork, as we know the front end's done, looking sweet. Big shout out to all the comments and thumbs up on that one. Before we get onto the bodywork, there is a bit of damage on the back end that I need to repair. I knew it was there and I saw it in the pictures when I bought it. The last owner got a shunted in the back end. I knew it was there and I thought no problem. I had a better look at it a little while back and it is a little bit more involved than I thought. I've got a new panel here. Going to make a lot of mess, grinding, welding, sparks, a lot of noise. I've got to clear out the back of the whole van. But it needs doing nevertheless. So today's the day that we're going to get on with it. And yeah, let's have a little butcher and see what's going on. And let's get the grinder out. First of all, summer yesterday, full on autumn today. Shorts and t-shirt are back in the cupboard and we got the hoodie and trousers out. Anyway, this isn't a DTE TV weather report. We've got a new panel. We've got a damaged back end. Let's have a quick look at what's going on. Rear panel. It had ever so slightly been pushed in. I say ever so slightly. This was squashed flat. But it's not structural in any way. It's not pushed any of this in. It's not pushed none of the floor in. The other side is actually okay. So it was only this that had squashed flat. And if I remove this, it is only a thin, weak panel that is quite flexible. I did put the cut marks in it. I was trying to straighten it. And I did, first of all, try to straighten that. And I did straighten it. As I say, that was squashed flat. I've unstraightened it. Offered it up and it doesn't fit too well, so we've got a new panel. It needs to fit nice because obviously we need the door rubber to seal nicely, and it's got to be right. I don't want it to be, if you squint, it's mint. It's got to be perfect. The van's not on the hit list or accident recorded or anything like that. They just took it on the chin and ratchet strapped the boot shut. They actually had a strap on the inside of the boot holding the boot shut because the lock was broke. Today is the time to fix it. I do want to get on with the bodywork, but let me just show you a bit about what's going on with the bodywork and why I'm not starting it today. Can we see there's like little chips and lots of little blister marks? They're all over it. The panels are really straight, which is good, but there's loads of little chips and then rust marks. They're sort of actually everywhere. That is fine. We can't just DA it down and paint straight over it because they might come back. They might not, but they might. So, unfortunately, I've got to bare metal the whole lower half of the van. That's fine. There's a couple of little dents I can see. Don't know if we can see it on camera. So I need to bare metal it. I've had to order some etch primer because when you've got bare metal, you want to put etch primer on first. I'm waiting for that to turn up and it's wet. I want to do it over the space of any dry periods and keep it inside the workshops. We don't want any moisture or condensation to get to the bare metal before we put the primer on. So, bodywork can wait until next week, but so we've got a video for this week, we're going to do this. Going to be a bit of a time lapse going on, because basically I've just got to cut out the rest of it, remove the rest of the bumper, get the floor up. I have already unscrewed and removed the left one, so I need to find a home for all this stuff. For the shed. It's basically a shed. If you've got a van that you don't use, it's a free shed. If you're paying for the van or you paid for the van, you might as well use it as a shed. Well, I need to empty this, need to get the wood out, and then I am going to cut along the back there so we get a new lip, put a new panel on, loads of primer because we don't want it to rust, even though I drilled these spot welds out ages ago and they're only just starting to rust. That's bare metal. VWs are made of good stuff. We don't want it to rust anymore, so I'm going to cut it open, primer the hell out of it, weld the new one in, seam sealer, all the good stuff. But yeah, it's going to make a mess. I am going to empty the back end, get the grinder out, let's crack on. So it's late. You might tell that by the dark footage and the spotlight. Anyway, panels all welded in, ground all the welds down. I am going to bare metal this because it's a bit ropey. Ground all the welds down, and I should have done it before I welded it in, but I got a bit eager. There's a couple of dents in this new panel, so I'm just dent pulling them out. Someone in the last video asked about the spot welder. This is a spot welder, but it's a very old one. Someone asked what brand it is, and it is a Tecna, T-E-C-N-A. You can do pins, well, you can't because I've only got one end, but it does little rings. Then you get a slide hammer and you just carefully pull it out. So I've done all that, just wanted to give you a quick demonstration on that. I could have just skimmed that with filler, but I didn't want to load it up with filler, not when I could pull it out. Battery on the GoPro just died, as they do, pain in the backside. I was saying I could just load this up with filler, but I don't want to put loads of filler in it when I can pull the dent out. I am going to put a bit of filler in a few little tiny places. I will put a little skim across the top there and across that one just to smooth them off nicely. Only the smallest bit, I've pulled most of it out. Then I'm going to bare metal that, then I'm going to zinc prime it all, let that go off overnight, seam sealer, the same it was from factory, then put a bit of filler around the edges, knock them off, bit of zinc primer or etch primer on any bare metal, then I'll 2-pack prime it, let that flash off or go off, tickle it down, and then we're going to freshly paint some white paint. Anyway, it's dark, it's late, I'm going to crack on with this. We'll see you tomorrow. It is a few days later, and hopefully the montage of shots have kept you up to date on where we are now. Happy with it. 2-pack primed it, rubbed it down, fillered it, etched primer, all the good stuff, and it's looking pretty sweet. On to the last step earlier, and that was seam sealer. Doing seam sealer is hard, super hard to replicate OE spec. The factory seam sealer, which is that stuff, pretty, it's really hard to replicate, but that was a relatively straight line. I put a bit of tape on both sides, then I used that stuff, Terrason, in a glue gun, applied it, and it is quite a thin stuff, so I applied it in the gap, then I got a paintbrush and run along it, peeled the tape off, and it looks like that. I'm actually really happy with that. Next is the last step, and that's to put some paint on it. I have given the inside a bit of a clean. I got on my hands and knees, give it a bit of a scrub, bit of truck wash, TFR. Couple of dirty cloths later, there was a couple of yellow marks on the floor, and I thought, oh, rusty's starting to come through, but nope, they wiped straight off. Happy days. There was a load of glue over that side, got as much off as possible. That'll do, it doesn't matter, there's going to be a floor, everything going on top of it. Super happy with how clean it is. It's nearly 20 years old, 18, 20 years, 05 plate, 18. Anyway, and one thing, we've got some tape. So I did bare metal this whole panel to get it nice and smooth. And when I got here with a die grinder, I buzzed off what was like aluminium metal tape. So I've copied that with some aluminium metal tape, and I'm going to paint over it. But what this is, these are the squares for the barn doors. So if you've got barn doors and you want a tailgate and you're worried about having to drill holes or anything, I can only imagine that these holes are for barn doors and that's for a tailgate. So obviously if you've got barn doors, you'll have tape over there. You'll peel that off and then you would get in through there, put some nuts on the back, and that's how the striker would bolt up. So yeah, pretty sweet. Back panel, let's have a better look at it because it is on. And have a look how good all the squares line up. It's not 100% mint along there. It's good enough. With a bit of paint on, you would never know. I'm not too worried about taping too many bits up. I will tape up this this heat shield, but a bit of white paint on the towing eye, it looks a bit rusty. It doesn't matter, it's only going to protect it. And this area in the shut, I will be painting that silver again, because when I do the full repaint, we're going two-tone, but I'm going to paint all the shut silver. So that area there will get a coat of silver anyway. The main area I want to get some white on is in there, because I am colour changing it, but I'm not going to go to the effort of changing all the paint and the colour inside. It's going to be white, it's going to be all carpeted, so it doesn't matter. So we're just going to get some white on there. I'm going to puff it in gently. I'm not going to go mad with a full gun and give it a full blow over, because it'll go absolutely everywhere. I'm going to puff it in like airbrushing, something like that. Anyway, just waiting for my pal to get back. Need to go and get some hardener, mix up a little bit of paint, but let's get the stand out and let's finish this job, because I am happy with how it looks so far. A couple of hours has passed. My buddy's only just turned up. Oh, bollocks. So let's try that again. I had a couple of chips that I wanted to fill in. I know it's only a back panel, but there was 2 chips and I couldn't paint over 2 chips. Yeah, my buddy's only just turned up. He's got his 2 boys with him and they are quite loud. So you might hear them in the shop. They are little... Anyway, I normally say paint the edges, but I'm curious to see if the paint's going to stick to this foil tape and not just separate. So I'm just going to go for it. I haven't taped up at all. Let's go for it. Blow any dust off. I've obviously cleaned it. Oh, I don't want paint. I can't paint over this heat shield. This is the crudest masking up you'll ever see. Oh yeah. I'll let that flash off, give it another coat. Yeah, looks straight, really happy with that. Look even better with another coat. Anyway, I have picked up something super cool for the back end of this. I'll get another coat on this, I'll let it go off overnight, we'll have a look in the morning and I'll show you what I've got. I am super pumped on what we've got to go on this. It's the following day, paint has gone nice and hard and I am happy with that. Looks factory. The white is a little bit whiter than the old paint, but if we remember, the floorboard's going to come up to here. You're never going to see that. I just wanted it to be nice and shiny in the boot shut, and check that out. And I can confirm you can paint over foil tape without it separating. Wasn't sure about that. I did paint over the grommets. So there is one little shortcut, but I couldn't get new ones easily, so I just painted straight over them. And remember, there is going to be a plastic trim that sits right over the top. Paint along the edges is fine. Remember, we're going to be painting this silver again when we change the colour. Yeah, and the masking that I spent ages doing over the heat shield. Well, it didn't work, funnily enough. I spent ages doing that. When I first got the van, I did know about that, but I didn't know it was as involved. It was only when I got it back, started looking at it and thought, oh, I've got to cut like the whole panel out. I was like, oh mate. So it wasn't a job I was putting off, but it was at the back of my mind that it was quite an involved job that needed doing. Anyway, I'm super happy. So if we have a quick look at a couple of days ago, and that is it today. So yeah, super happy with that. And now I mentioned in the shot last night that I have got something new for this. Let's have a little look. I've seen a few people, they do the T6 tailgate conversion. Well, I have a T6 tailgate. I couldn't afford one. You look online, just the tailgate with damage on, you might pay 600 quid just for a tailgate. Well, there is full kits on eBay, £1,800 for a full tailgate kit. That is the tailgate, the rear lights, the small trims, and then the back bumper. But 1,800 quid for a T6 tailgate, yeah, I couldn't afford it. I couldn't even afford the 600 quid for the tailgate. But a body shop just round the corner from me, believe it or not, threw this away. So this was literally delivered to my door for £0. Happy days. Big shout out to my mate who hooked me up with this. I'm super pumped. I have already ordered the rest of the bits. I've got some Mark 6, nope. I've got some T6 rear lights for 40 quid. I've got the infill panels for 50 quid. A used rear bumper for 70 quid. I'm going to pick those up. That will be the next video. T6 tailgate conversion. There is a few bits of damage around it, but to be honest, I'm not fussed. Super happy to have it and looking forward to getting it on. There was quite a gnarly repair in the corner. I'll explain more in the next video, but yeah, I am super happy to get that and for £0. So let's get this floor back in. I don't know if I've mentioned, but I did try the striker for the tailgate when it was in primer. Tailgate does shut nicely and it turned the light off on the dash, so that's all working. Happy days. Of course the floor is going to come out again, but I don't have the biggest workshop and this was in my way. It's a nice bit of floor. As I say, we'll be reusing it. It does sit flat. Yeah, worked out pretty sweet actually. Couple of things I do want to mention. A big shout out to you guys. Anyone that commented on the post about my boy's birthday, whether you give it a thumbs up or commented, thank you, appreciate that. Super pumped, thank you. Secondly, in one of the videos on the T5 rear suspension, I put a cheeky little message to any companies that wanted to send an impact gun. One of you subscribers reached out, emailed me and bought me a gun, an impact gun. I won't mention any names, but thank you. I really appreciate that. It's really good. We'll see that, I'm sure, in one of the videos. And another shout out to another one of you subscribers. At the end of every video, he sends me a super thanks, a bit of a gift, a bit of a donation towards the channel. Thank you. All those that you've sent me, I've been saving up and they're going towards a new camera. So thank you for that. And please don't think this is a mention so anyone else does it. I just want to give a couple of people a mention and a shout out. I really appreciate it. I do really appreciate the support from all of you who just comment and yeah, really enjoy the channel. So thank you for that. Next video will be on the T5 T6 tailgate. I'm going to get straight on with it. I've already started repairing the dents. I have ordered all the bits that go with the T6 tailgate. I'm picking up the rear lights and the rear bumper off Facebook Marketplace tomorrow, but that'll be next week's video. It's only a rear panel this week, but hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you did, click the thumbs up. There's going to be loads more T5 content, so don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.